Florida politicians are claiming they're going to eliminate property taxes. Sounds great, right? But it's one giant scam, and nobody's talking about it. In this video, I'll show you why Florida politicians have introduced 13 different property tax proposals when all we need is one, why every single one of them is designed to fail, and why Governor Ron DeSantis has brought on two powerhouses to eliminate your property taxes. Let's jump in. So here's what's happening. The Florida Senate just introduced 5 new proposals that could be on the ballot to eliminate property taxes in Florida. But do they really got our best interest in mind? Here's what DeSantis says about it.
We'll put 5 on the ballot and let the people decide. If they do that, first of all, the Senate's not going to do that. But if that were to be done, that is a way you kill any type of getting property tax reform, because different voters are going to read different things and none of them are going to end up getting 60%.
The Florida House is also sitting on 8 proposals on property tax reform, and none of those eliminate property taxes completely either. So what the hell's going on? I did a deep dive on the 8 House proposals and what they say in my newsletter. If you want to see it, click the link in the description below this video. Let me explain how this works. DeSantis has been saying for about a year that cities and counties in Florida are overspending, and if they stop, we could eliminate property taxes. But here's the thing, property taxes aren't set by the state, they're levied by counties and cities. That means DeSantis can't get rid of them himself. To actually eliminate property taxes, you'd need a constitutional amendment. And in Florida, that takes more than a simple majority. You need 60% of voters to approve it in a statewide election. So now we got 8 proposals from the House and 5 new ones from the Senate. That's 13 different ideas, but we only need one. So why drop 13? Because they know if they give you a ton of different options to vote on, none of them are going to hit 60% of the vote. They're throwing everything at the wall, knowing it won't stick. Then they get to say, hey, we tried while you keep paying higher and higher property taxes. I'm going to show you what's in these 5 Senate proposals and why they're built to fail and keep you paying property taxes. And I'm going to break them down in plain English because they write these bills in the most confusing way possible. And that's on purpose. They want voters scratching their heads at the ballot box. One quick thing to keep in mind, a joint resolution is what changes the Florida Constitution, and that means you get to vote on it. A regular bill is just a proposed law, and only Florida lawmakers vote on that. The first proposal is SJR 270, which stands for Senate Joint Resolution 270. It basically says if you're 65 years old or older and you've owned and lived in your Florida home for at least 5 years, and you and your wife make less than $350,000 a year, this plan would let you stop paying most of your property taxes, except the part that goes to schools. So if this joint resolution passed, I'd have to wait another 15 years just to see any kind of property tax relief. That's ridiculous. And even then, it's not full relief because you'd still have to pay the part that goes to the schools. So no, it's not eliminating property taxes. And here's what really bugs me. It punishes anyone making over $350,000 a year. Just to be clear, that ain't me. Democrats love to say you can live the American dream, build the life you want, make millions, and that's great until you actually do it. Then suddenly you're rich, you don't pay taxes, and now you're the problem. It's BS. The IRS says the top 10% of earners already pay 71% of all income taxes. The bottom 50%, just 3%. So no, the rich aren't the problem. The problem is politicians spending money like it grows on trees, and then they say, rich people are the reason you're poor. That's what's really going on. We need to wake up and realize rich, poor, middle class, we're all in this together. It's the politicians that are taxing all of us to death and wasting our money, and it needs to stop. The second proposal is SJR 274, and it's basically a reward for people who've stayed put. If you've owned and lived in your home for 20 years, the value the government uses to calculate your taxes stops going up. Doesn't matter if your home's worth more, your tax value stays frozen. And if you hit 30 years in the same house, you get an extra exemption that knocks 50% off your home's value from your property tax bill. That's a pretty big deal. But here's the problem. The average American moves every 13 years. It used to be every 8, but high interest rates had people staying put longer. So if most people are moving every 13 years, they're never even going to hit that first tax break, which doesn't kick in until year 20. And that 30-year bonus, you'll never see that one. That's the whole point of the bill. It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside until you realize they just playing you. The third proposal is SJR 278, and it's about what happens when someone buys a new house. Normally, when a home changes hands, the county gets to reassess it, and sometimes that means a big jump in what they say it's worth for tax purposes. This bill would stop them from going too crazy. If the home's value was under $500,000, they wouldn't be allowed to raise the tax value by more than 150% of what it was last year. So yeah, they can still raise it, just not as much as they could before. Sounds nice, but only if you're buying a cheaper house. If it's over $500K, doesn't apply. Now, according to Redfin, the median sales price of a home in Florida is $404,200. So right off the bat, this bill wouldn't apply to 30 to 40% of people buying new homes. That's a huge chunk. So let's be real. This isn't property tax elimination, it's a bait and switch. And even if you do qualify, you're not getting rid of your taxes, you're just getting a small break. That's not relief, that's no bueno. The fourth proposal is SJR 282, and it's all about helping small businesses, or at least that's the pitch. If a small business owns property, this plan would put a limit on how much the county can raise the value each year for tax purposes. They'd only be allowed to bump it up by 3% or by the percentage change in the consumer price index, whichever one's smaller. So what does that mean for the average homeowner? Nothing. It doesn't lower your taxes. It doesn't cap your home's assessed value. It doesn't stop your bill from going up every year. So if you're just a regular person trying to keep your house, this bill might as well not exist. And the fifth one's a regular bill, SB 286, which stands for Senate Bill 286. That means it's not a constitutional amendment, so you don't get to vote on it. Only the politicians in Tallahassee do. Here's what it says. If you own a home in Florida and you add something to it, like a new room above the garage, a brand new kitchen, or maybe a pool, as long as the total value of all that work is under $100,000, the county isn't allowed to raise the value of your home for tax purposes, which is great, but why are homeowners getting penalized at all for fixing up their own homes and making the neighborhood better? I actually did a video on this. A Florida couple got blindsided with nearly $400,000 in fines for doing exactly that. You're not gonna believe it. I'll drop the link in the description below. And let's not forget, this bill doesn't eliminate property taxes at all. And that's what we want. The people are fed up with getting taxed to death, and they're finally pushing back. So now the politicians are scrambling to look like they're doing something. They'll toss us a few scraps, give us a little taste of relief, and hope that's enough to shut us up. But DeSantis ain't having it.
This is going to be on the ballot in November of 2026. So that's over a year away. We're working very hard with folks. You got to get the language right. You got to get the numbers. You got to get all that. I've said, Florida resident, you have a home, you're homesteaded, you should own it, you shouldn't be taxed, that shouldn't be an ATM for the local government. Like, that's the vision that we want to see.
The Speaker of the Florida House, Daniel Perez, isn't on board with eliminating property taxes completely, and he keeps saying DeSantis hasn't introduced a plan yet, so I'm going to introduce it for him. Here's how DeSantis could actually eliminate property taxes in Florida. First, Florida Doge keeps exposing waste. Blazing Golia already uncovered $1.2 billion in just a handful of counties. And if counties stop blowing money on DEI programs and nonprofits nobody asked for, we could cut property taxes easily. And remember, we're only talking about eliminating taxes on primary homes. Cities would still collect commercial property taxes, which bring in a ton of money. Next, the plan would include clear language blocking cities and counties from replacing property taxes with new fees or raising sales tax. No loopholes, no games, just a hard stop. Then, instead of throwing 13 different proposals on the ballot to confuse voters, we put one clean question. Do you want property taxes eliminated on primary residences? Yes or no? For rural counties that can't adjust right away, DeSantis could use the state's $15 billion surplus to cover the gap.
I can take all 32 fiscally constrained counties. I could fund 100% of tax revenue that would be derived from a homestead, Florida residence, property taxes. And it's like budget dust for us. I mean, we got a massive surplus, so we can do that, and we will do that. So don't let anybody in the rural counties act like you're not going to be able to do, because I can just do it without even worrying. I'm not going to let that keep us from doing property tax relief. So if I have to do appropriation, I'm going to support doing an appropriation. I mean, it's just that simple.
And to give everybody time to plan, the change wouldn't take effect until January 1st, 2028. a full year after the November 2026 vote. Only Florida residents would qualify, and only for their primary home. That stops out-of-staters and foreign investors from trying to game the system. And to protect public services, the amendment would make sure commercial property taxes fund first police, fire, EMS, trash, and roads, not pet projects. Clean and simple. And the good news for us, DeSantis isn't doing this on his own. He's got two heavy hitters on the team that are doing everything they can to make sure we get rid of property taxes in Florida. First, it's Blaze showing Floridians that cities and counties are blowing taxpayer money on nonsense. Like in Broward County, $890,000 on DEI training that includes pushing the genderbread person. That's a real thing. Look it up. And in St. Petersburg, my city, damn it, $307,000 on a climate action plan to drive Green New Deal initiatives. What? Then we got the second in command, Florida Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, who's crystal clear on where he stands.
So property tax is the American dream. We want to own our home. And if you really pay rent and the government can take your home, the fact is you don't own it. So we can do that, and we should do that. The people across Florida are craving, yearning, demanding property tax relief. But we got to use our supermajorities to get this out there. It's got to go on the ballot. The people have to vote for this. And I think what we really want to focus in on are those homesteaded properties.
This is so important because DeSantis can't run for re-election in 2026. So we need our next governor to fully support the plan or it's over. And I really think Jay Collins is going to be our next governor in 2026. Now keep in mind, DeSantis can't introduce a joint resolution or bill himself. He needs someone in the Florida House or Senate to file it. So the question is, who's going to step up and drop the property tax elimination bill we're all waiting on? Now, I have no idea, but whoever it is going to be a hero in Florida. And believe it or not, this isn't just about eliminating property taxes. This would be a historic shift in how government works in this country. If Florida voters get the chance to wipe out property taxes on primary homes and it passes, people in other states are going to start demanding the same thing. This is how it starts. So call your state rep. I'll drop the link below. Tell them you want one thing, a joint resolution with one simple question on the ballot. Should we eliminate property taxes on homestead homes? Yes or no? That's it. Let the people decide. Don't let them feed you excuses or pretend it can't be done, because this isn't just some little tax break. This is how we stop the government from bleeding people dry. If we don't force their hand now, they'll bury it in committee, kill it quietly, and keep the money flowing. So make the call, send the email, don't sit back and wait. This is our shot to change everything. Want to hear the rest of the crazy spending Blaze and Florida Doge found? Click here to learn how these politicians blew $1.2 billion in property tax money. You won't believe what they're spending your money on and why this needs to stop now. Click here and I'll see you there.